29 games to go.
And it either continues and they try to load up, or maybe it's the end of Klay Thompson and Chris Paul. Maybe you trade Andrew Wiggins. Who knows what happens if these next 29 games don't go great? Interesting response when you asked him about Bob Myers, and it sounded like he was going to say that he actually talked to Bob, and then he stopped himself and said, well, the people who I named in the article are the people who I talked to in the article.
I think it'd be crazy for him to have not at least checked in with Bob.
Right.
Bob may have said, not interested in being quoted in this article, and so maybe he's not. Or maybe he is one of the unnamed NBA sources.
Former staffer.
Yep. Good point.
He's a former staffer.
Former Warriors staffer.
He's a former staffer, not Matthew.
That's right. Wait, which quote was that? Hold on. Let's
okay, stop everything.
Let me pull this one.
Stop the show.
Which was the one? Hang on, I got it right here.
It's and there's Lacob quote.
Beep.
Lacob, a lot of Lacob in here.
Now, this is a team source. One team source said it takes young players time to impact winning. The Warriors had time, then they didn't. All right, that was a team source. Where's the
one agent was quoted?
Former Warriors staffer.
Yeah.
No, that's Lacob.
A source close to the Warriors organization.
Oh, here it is.
Oh,
okay.
Former staffer.
Could this be Bob Myers?
Okay.
All right. Quote. I think ownership made a decision about 4 years ago that they were going to try to have it all, and it backfired. They probably should have focused on players that just fit with Steph versus trying for the home run swings.
According to one former GM.
Could that be Robert Wires?
Could be.
Could it be?
Could be Bob Myers.
Yeah, it could be 1,000 different people.
It could.
Yeah.
And I think that quote is not wrong, and that speaks to the hubris, and if you want to call it arrogance, maybe it is arrogance to think that you could be the one, Joey Lightyears, to thread this needle and make two timelines actually happen.
Well, it's funny, though. The first time I read it, you went, no, that's totally inaccurate because they won a title.
They did.
And you're right.
Yeah.
And you're right.
Yeah.
In other words, like, I get what you're saying, which is if you win a title, and this even goes to your point about arrogance, Joe Lacob's allowed to be arrogant. Kyle Shanahan's not. Why?
Right.
Rings. Okay, fine. If that's the rule, that's the rule.
I think about Kapler, too, in this conversation.
Wow, jeez.
Because he was so arrogant.
He didn't even get to the World Series.
When they won 107 games, it was, that quirky Cap, He's pushing all the right buttons.
Manager of the year.
And then they go 79 and 83, and it's like, get out of here with your perfect beard.
Get your cheeseburger off of Instagram, totally. Gabe.
Right.
Yeah, right. We know that. That's sports. You win, you could be a wackadoodle. You don't win, I don't want to hear anything that comes out of your mouth. Right. I get it. All right. But, so they win a championship. That's a catch-all. But at the same time, you had the number 2 overall pick in the draft. And you got bubkiss out of it.
Right.
You got a player who was already on your team to return with an injury and rejoin the team. That's what you got out of it in the end.
And think about that. Your number 2 overall pick played 0 minutes in the entire year, and you won a championship. So, yeah, it didn't really backfire on you.
Oh, you're saying, okay, God, my brain went to GP2. I'm like, no, he played a bunch that year.
No, your number 2 overall pick.
Wiseman did not play.
Right. So,
correct.
I mean, your approach kind of backfired when you think about the long game because the number 2 overall pick isn't playing for you and probably won't be playing at all in the association sooner rather than later. And your 2 timelines blew up. Jordan Poole's gone. Wiseman's gone. And, Kuminga and Moody. Kuminga's a star in the making. Moody, we don't really know if he fits with this team. So your whole 2 timeline thing, yeah, it did backfire, but at the same time, you won a championship.
Well, and again, I'd never substitute that for anything. It always makes me laugh when people, and they did this. I get it when you do it with the Giants thing that you just referenced. Boy, the worst thing that could have happened to them was 107 wins. You know what it was? It was a validation sensation. And off they went into the world being like, you know what? I got an idea. Let's just have not 1 mediocre player at each position, but 2. 2 mediocre position players at every position, and none who are great. What an idea.
That'll show them.
Turns out it works.
Genius.
It doesn't work.
Right.
Okay. But you do hear people go, the worst thing that happened to the Warriors is winning that championship.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
I don't get that.
That's stupid. You won the championship.
Right.
You give up anything for that. So no give backs when it comes to the championships. But I do wonder, with that as the backdrop in our head, okay, 29 games to go. How do you want it to look? And remember, what happens in these 29 games determines what happens next. So how do you want it to look? I know it's simple to just be like, well, we want to win. What does that even mean? You're the 10 seed right now.
Right.
All right. So how do you want this to look? What's the result you're going for, Warriors? You could say championship. I don't know how realistic that is.
Yeah. I think you want a series. That's
Just
what
one.
you want. Well, you want to get in the
series.
playoffs.
Okay.
You want a playoff series. And for me, you want to be in the 7 or 8 seed. That way you've got a little bit of a cushion in the play-in. The 6 is a long shot. You'd love to get the 6. And, you'd have to have a pretty good finish, maybe 20-9 to get up to the 6. If you go 20-9 over the last 29, you might get the 6.
Maybe.
That might be good enough. But you want to get to where you have a playoff series because you don't want to face this team in the playoffs now, Joe Lacob. His words and mine. And I don't think he's wrong.
He's not wrong, but I'm also a little triggered by that when teams, I'll tell you what I don't want. I don't want to be the team that keeps saying, you don't want to be the team. You don't want to face us. I don't want to be the team that you, quote, don't want to face. Because that usually means that you're like lurking in the weeds.
Right.
I want you to swagger in with big biceps and be like, yeah. We got game 1 at home. That's what I want. And that ship sailed for this year. That's gone.
Yeah.
You're not getting a top 4 seed.
No.
And even the record you just threw out there is probably not good enough to avoid the play-in tournament. Think about that. 20-9 over these last 29 is probably not good enough for the 6th seed. Probably not.
If 47-35 would be your record, which is
probably not.
It's a winning percentage of 573. Right now, 573 gets you the 8th seed.
There you go.
Because the Kings are 574. So we'll just say that 573 is 574. So if you go 20-9 and you wind up with a 574 winning percentage, you're the 8.
Yep.